One day we were talking. Kaylen was very sad, so I asked him what happened, but he didn't tell me anything. Then he said, "I wish you were here with me in my room, and I would love you a lot." I said, "I want the same. Kaylen, but how can we meet? You live in one country, and I live in another. I also really want to meet you, spend time with you, love you, romance with you, and do all those things." He was shocked to hear me say that. He said, "What did you say, Tanisha? Say it again." I said, "Sorry, that slipped out." Kaylen said, "That's not a mistake. That's love, and when we really meet, we will love each other a lot." I asked him, "If I were with you, what would you do?" When I asked Kaylen how he would take care of me, if we were together, he replied, "I will treat you like a princess, and I will take great care of you. I will be very romantic with you." I asked him how he would do that. Wanting to know more, Kaylen smiled and said, "When we meet, the first thing we will do is hug each other. Then I will take you to my house, where I will have already decorated a room with flowers. I will also arrange a candlelight dinner for that night. It will be the most special night. After dinner, we will go to my room, which I will have already decorated. We will fight, cuddle, and sleep there. I promise I won't let you sleep all night. I will give you 10 kisses, as I mentioned before. Then I will give you a romantic body massage, because you will be tired from traveling, and I will shower you with love all night long. In the morning, I will make coffee for you. You will be in bed, and I will bring the coffee to you. You will still be asleep, and I will gently say, 'Good morning, Tanisha. Wake up, it's morning. Look, I made coffee for you.' Then you will say to me, 'Kaylen, you know how to cook too.' And Kaylen will say, 'Yes, I learned how to cook, because I wanted to be able to make breakfast, lunch, and dinner for my wife on weekends, after we get married.' Tanisha, really, where did you learn to cook?" Kaylen becomes sad and replies, "I used to cook for my ex when we lived together." Tanisha, can I know more about your ex? How did you meet and how did you break up? Please, I want to know. Kaylen takes a deep breath and begins to tell the story about his ex. "I had a girlfriend named Shona, whom I loved very much. She was everything to me. I did everything for her and gave her my everything, time, past, present, and future. This was back when I first met her. I was actually working in a call center as a senior employee. New employees would come to me if they had issues while talking on calls. It was a routine part of my job, and I had grown accustomed to helping newcomers adjust to the fast-paced environment of the call center. One day, as I was going about my usual tasks, a girl in a vibrant yellow suit approached me with a problem. Her eyes conveyed a mix of frustration and anxiety as she explained that she couldn't resolve a customer's issue. When I looked at her, I was momentarily captivated. She was so lovely that I couldn't stop looking at her. She said, "Sir, there's a problem. I can't solve this customer's issue." I replied, "You are new here in the call center, right?" She nodded and mentioned that her sister was a senior employee at the call center. Sensing her nervousness, I reassured her, telling her not to worry and that I would help solve her problem. However, I playfully added a condition. I was hungry, and if she had brought lunch, she should share it with me. To my delight, she said she had brought lunch. True to my word, I solved her problem. Afterward, she brought her lunch to me, and I eagerly ate it. But as I watched her head to the canteen to buy snacks, because I had eaten her lunch, a pang of guilt hit me. She was probably as hungry as I had been, and now she had to buy something to eat. Feeling remorseful, I approached her and insisted on paying for her snacks. She politely declined, saying it was all right, but I could see she was surprised by my gesture. In a spur-of-the-moment decision, I took her phone and called my number from it. Telling her that I would talk to her, that night her eyes widened in surprise at my bold move. That night I messaged her, asking how she was and what she was doing. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, and we talked a lot. That night, at one point, she curiously asked if I had taken her number, because I liked her elder sister. I clarified that it wasn't true, and that I was interested in her. She asked if I was serious, and I assured her that I was. However, in reality, my feelings were not yet that deep. I didn't fully understand what love was at the time. My initial motive for taking her number was more practical and somewhat selfish. I wanted her to bring lunch for me as well. It was a common practice for me to eat the tiffins of all the new employees who joined the call center. Little did I know that this simple interaction would spark the beginning of a relationship that would mean the world to me. My nature was such that I used to be friendly with everyone. Whenever a new girl joined the call center, I would always help her out, guide her through the initial days, and share her tiffin during lunch breaks. This made me quite popular among my colleagues, especially the new ones. I used to chat with Shona every night. I was so funny and easygoing that I would even flirt with seniors, making everyone laugh. Despite being flirty and playful, I never got into a relationship, nor did I want to, because without being in one, I had plenty of flirty conversations with many girls and got to eat their tiffins too. I never brought lunch from home. I relied on my charm and friendly nature to get by. I always behaved this way, but Shona used to feel jealous when I flirted with someone else. She would secretly watch me, trying to hide her feelings. She never expressed her jealousy directly, but her actions made it clear. One day, I was eating in the canteen with a girl, sharing her tiffin when Shona arrived and saw us together. She didn't say anything but left in anger. That night, I didn't hear from her. I messaged her multiple times, but got no reply. I was worried and confused about her sudden change in behavior. The next day, I saw her arm was injured. When I asked what happened, she said it was nothing, just an accident. When I looked closely, I saw a cut with a Band-Aid on her hand, and it had my name cut into it. I was shocked and concerned. I asked her what it was, but she didn't answer. Later, her friend told me that Shona was very hurt because of my behavior with the new girl, and that she had done this because of it. I thought we were just friends. I didn't realize she liked me so much. Her friend confirmed that she did, explaining how Shona had been feeling jealous and hurt by my actions for a long time. That night, I talked to Shona and told her this wouldn't happen again. I said she was wrong to cut her hand, apologized, and said I loved her before going to sleep. I felt a mix of guilt and realization about how my actions had affected her. The next day, I didn't talk to many people, but kept chatting with Shona while continuing my work. Sometimes we would sit and work together, finding comfort in each other's company. Our bond grew stronger as we spent more time together. When her older sister found out about our relationship, she got angry and told Shona to stay just friends with me and not think beyond that. She was protective and didn't want Shona to get hurt. Despite her sister's warnings, our relationship continued. We found ways to spend time together, share our thoughts, and support each other. A few months later, I left the call center for a new job in another city. The decision was tough because it meant leaving Shona behind, but we promised to stay in touch. Our relationship had its ups and downs, but the bond we shared was special and meaningful. Moving to a new city brought new challenges, but I carried the memories and lessons from my time with Shona, cherishing the connection we had built. I had been working in another city for at least 2 months. Every night, Shona and I would talk, and she often expressed a strong desire to meet me. One night, I told her that if she wanted to meet so badly, she should come to where I was working. She replied that if I said so, she would indeed come. I reassured her that no one was stopping her. For the next couple of days, we didn't speak much. Then one day she called me and said she had a surprise for me. Curious, I asked what it was. Shona told me that she had asked her father for permission to come and work at my company, and he had agreed. She said she would be leaving the next day. I was overjoyed at the news. 2 days later, Shona arrived in the morning, accompanied by her father. In front of him, I pretended to be a stranger. That day, we didn't talk much and just stayed in our rooms. The following day, her father returned home, and from then on, Shona and I began to spend a lot of time together. We went to the office together, came back together, and used to walk to work. One day, Shona was very hungry, but didn't know how to cook. To help, I watched a YouTube video on how to make veggie biryani. However, it turned out to be pulao instead. Despite this, Shona liked it a lot. I told her that if she didn't know how to cook, I would try new recipes by watching videos every day. This became our routine, and I gradually became a good cook. Shona was my girlfriend, and she loved me so much that she had left her family to live with me in another city. It was my duty to take care of her. One day, I was feeling particularly emotional. Shona noticed and came to me asking what was wrong. I told her I was just feeling down. She hugged me and I started crying. To comfort me, she kissed me on the lips. It was my first kiss, and I was overwhelmed with emotion. I started kissing her back and hugged her tightly. That day, we cuddled and slept together. From then on, we used to cuddle and sleep together every night.
But nothing inappropriate happened between us.
We were very happy, and we made a promise to each other that we would take things further only after getting married. For a few days, things continued like this. One day, Kaylen received a call from home
And had to return for work. So Shona had to stay behind. Kaylen spent a month at home working.
while Shona, who had quit her job, went to her older sister's house in another city and started working there. Kaylen had fallen deeply in love with Shona, so he stayed in his city and talked to her daily over the phone. Once, Kaylen and Shona had a fight, and Kaylen didn't answer her calls and turned off his phone. Shona called Kaylen's father's number late at night, which scared Kaylen. He took his father's phone, blocked Shona from it, and then called her from his own phone. They talked that night and made up, professing their love for each other. Over time, Shona settled into her job and became busy. She gradually started talking to Kaylen less, often not picking up his calls. She began ignoring him because she was making new friends at her new office. She would call him once a week, and Kaylen would wait for her call the whole week. Her new office friends took her out to nightclubs and bars. One day, Shona told Kaylen that she had gone to a party and had her first beer, which made Kaylen very angry because he didn't like such things. However, Shona continued to call him whenever she wanted and went wherever she pleased without informing Kaylen. Kaylen started feeling sad. One of his friends, a dance teacher, invited him to a dance workshop, but Kaylen initially refused because he was in a bad mood. His friend insisted, so Kaylen finally agreed. Many dancers attended the workshop, and when Kaylen danced, everyone was shocked because he was a very good dancer, though he had quit dancing. After entering a relationship with Shona, who didn't like it, Shona had access to all his social media accounts, so he stopped talking to anyone else and gave up dancing. At the workshop, his dance impressed everyone, and one girl, Amy, particularly liked his dance. Kaylen also liked Amy's dance. A few days later, Kaylen received a message from Ani on Facebook. They started chatting, getting to know each other, and talking about their hobbies. Gradually, they began talking more. One night, while Kaylen was talking to Amy, Shona called him, but he didn't pick up. She called again, and this time, Kaylen answered.
Shona asked who he was talking to.
And Kaylen lied, saying he was having dinner. Shona, sounding drunk, said she missed him a lot that night. Kaylen replied that he missed her every day, but she never called or picked up his calls. Shona, ignoring his words, asked him to talk about love. Realizing that Shona was drunk, Kaylen felt frustrated because he wanted to talk to her for so long, but she only wanted to talk when she was drunk. He hated alcohol because it caused many fights in his family due to his father's drinking habits. He hung up and stopped talking to her. The same pattern continued. Shona ignored him and only called when she was drunk. One night she went out and posted a live video on Instagram, hugging a guy, which hurt Kaylen deeply. He blocked her everywhere. One day, Kaylen was sitting sadly, and his friend called, inviting him on a trip and mentioning that Annie liked him. Kaylen said that Annie was just a friend, and that he loved Shona. But his friend, who had seen Shona's live video, advised him to forget Shona and consider Annie, who was also a dancer. Eventually, Annie confessed her feelings to Kaylen, and they entered into a relationship. Kaylen was happy with Annie. One day, Shona called, but Kaylen was busy with Annie and didn't pick up. Shona called repeatedly, but Kaylen blocked her. Shona then called Kaylen's friend, who considered her a sister, and asked if Kaylen had someone else in his life. The friend told her everything and gave her Annie's number. Shona called Annie, threatened her to leave Kaylen, and insulted her.